The day of the apprenticeship ceremony. The younger female disciple was the first to take Jiang Mu, who had absolutely no aptitude for cultivation, as her apprentice. The entire audience was in an uproar. But the young junior sister was beaming with pride. You guys don't know anything, Jiang Mu is the real genius. In her previous life, she chose the exceptionally talented Gu Chuan for herself and left Jiang Mu for me. Who would have thought that, under the guidance of his younger female classmate, Gu Chuan would suffer a complete rupture of his meridians and become a cripple? Once I had broken the seal within Jiang Mu, he left everyone far behind and became a genius whom everyone looked up to. My junior classmate wasn't willing to accept it, so she teamed up with Jiang Mu to try to kill me. We were all going to die together. But when I opened my eyes, I found myself back on the day of the apprenticeship ceremony. Seeing my younger classmate's smug expression, I smiled. Does she really think that without me, Jiang Mu is still a genius? Main text. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw the annoying face of my junior sister, Song Xiaomeng, with a twinkle in her eyes. She asked me with a sweet laugh. Senior sister is so powerful, she wouldn't actually compete with me for a disciple, would she? I looked around and realized that I had somehow returned to the day of the initiation ceremony at Luoxue sect. No, I won't go with her. I only want to stay with Chower. Before I could say a word, a clear, bright voice rang out from below me. I looked up. The young boy, not yet grown, was dressed in a tattered, coarse hemp garment. Dark-skinned and thin, he looked like a monkey from the back mountain. Only a pair of jet black, shining eyes gazed at his younger female classmate with utter adoration. Hey, isn't this Jiang Mu, the disciple I've treated with all my heart and soul, only to have him turn around and try to rip my heart and lungs out? From the look in his eyes, I could tell that he, too, had been reborn. This time, he decided not to beat around the bush. He would ask the woman he loved to be his teacher and embark on a passionate romance between master and apprentice. As for that disgusting couple, I'm all for locking them up, hands and feet and all. I gave Song Xiaomeng a faint smile, then shot Jiang Mu a disgusted look. He's a good-for-nothing. Take him if you want. Jiang Mu's expression changed, and a look of humiliation crossed his face. He had no talent for cultivation. If it weren't for the fact that the town where he grew up had venerated the Luoxue sect for generations and had been completely wiped out by the demon clan, he wouldn't even have had the chance to join the sect and find a master. That's why he hates it most when people call him a good-for-nothing. Even after the seal was broken and his natural talents restored, he still couldn't let it go. In my previous life, I admired his never-say-die spirit and did everything I could to help him. Now that I see his true colors, I'm not going to put up with him anymore. I raised my hand and fired a blast of spiritual energy directly at him. Who gave you the audacity to show disrespect to an elder? I didn't hold back at all with that blow against Jiang Mu. If it had hit him, there would certainly have been blood splattered all over the place. Song Xiaomeng let out a scream. Yi Chuling, you're crazy. Unwilling to watch her gifted disciple, whom she was about to claim as her own, meet his end, she tugged at the sleeve of her senior brother, the sect leader, with tears in her eyes. Seeing his younger sister disciple, whom he had doted on for many years, in tears, the senior brother, the sect leader, felt deeply moved. He didn't want Song Xiaomeng to take in that good-for-nothing Jiang Mu. I'm going to kill Jiang Mu, and he'd be only too happy to see it happen. But when his younger female classmate began to cry, he finally stepped in, albeit reluctantly. The after-effects of the spiritual energy clash struck Jiang Mu. He coughed up a mouthful of blood, and his gaze toward me was laced with venom. The senior brother, the sect leader, gently comforted Song Xiaomeng, then turned to scold me. Yi Chuling, as a cultivator of the righteous path, aren't you ashamed to lay a hand on an orphan who has no one to turn to and lacks any talent? I have absolutely no respect for this senior brother, who has been targeting me at every turn ever since she first joined the sect as my junior sister. I was able to stay at Luoxue sect because of my own abilities. It had nothing to do with whether or not he was the sect leader. I couldn't be bothered to pay him any attention, so I looked up at Gu Chuan, who was standing below, silent. Would you like to be my disciple? Gu Chuan was taken aback for a moment. but quickly recovered and bowed to me. This disciple is willing. Wait a minute. Junior sister. You can't take Gu Chuan as a disciple, the sect leader suddenly said. Your cultivation is high. You don't need another gifted disciple. But junior sister is different, she just took one. The Grandmaster glanced at Jiang Mu a couple of times, then continued, she needs a powerful disciple even more than you do. I burst out laughing. Since I'm not very good at this, I need a powerful disciple to protect me. I see that you, senior brother sect leader, have pretty good cultivation. Why don't you ask junior sister to be your master? The master's face turned bright red, and he clenched his fists. Song Qiaoming bit her lip as well. Yi Chuling, you'll regret this. I took Gu Chuan back to my cave dwelling and began teaching him the ways of cultivation from the very beginning. The 15-year-old boy, still unaccustomed to handling a sword, was practicing swordplay under a peach tree. I sat leisurely under a peach blossom tree, sipping tea. Ever since I took Jiang Mu in during my previous life, I haven't had a moment this leisurely in a long time, because I couldn't bear to see Jiang Mu, who was unable to cultivate, become an outcast in the sect. I spent almost every day poring over materials in the library, or running around looking for rare herbs and natural treasures to improve Jiang Mu's health. I believe I have fulfilled the responsibilities expected of a spiritual teacher. But one day, I happened to see him with his arms around my younger female classmate, his tone full of disgust. I really can't stand Yi Chuling, that woman who's always putting on a show. She says she's looking out for me, but really, she's just trying to boost her own reputation. Song Qiaoming pouted. Don't say that about senior sister, she's sensitive and will get upset. Jiang Mu took her hand. Elder Qiaoming, I wish you were my master. I thought he was just acting on a momentary impulse. So I opened up to him and weighed the pros and cons. And after a lot of effort, I finally managed to talk him out of it. Little did I expect that while he agreed on the surface, behind the scenes he was still secretly in contact with my junior sister. It was the 20th year since I had helped him regain his natural talent, and the 9 Provinces Grand Competition was held. The 9 Provinces Grand Competition is a major event in the cultivation world and the best opportunity for sect disciples to make a name for themselves. Over the years, under my guidance, Jiang Mu's cultivation has continued to improve, and he even took first place in the 9 Provinces Grand Competition. I had thought that all my years of hard work had finally paid off. Yet, right in front of everyone, Jiang Mu took Song Qiaoming's hand. Ever since I became a disciple of Yi Chuling, she hasn't fulfilled her duties as a teacher even for a single day. It is thanks to Elder Qiaoming that I am able to stand here today. In my heart, Song Qiaoming is the only one I recognize as my master. The head disciple announced on the spot that Jiang Mu and I were no longer master and disciple, and that I would become a disciple of Song Qiaoming. My reputation has been completely ruined, and I'm the subject of public gossip. When I confronted Jiang Mu about why he did that, he actually went along with my junior sister to lure me into the abyss of evil. Such a top-notch, heartless, treacherous person is truly a perfect match for my junior sister. I sneered inwardly as my gaze fell on Gu Chuan, who was diligently practicing swordplay beneath the flowering tree. Gu Chuan didn't have a happy ending in his previous life either. Song Qiaoming's own cultivation level wasn't very high. She had just reached the nascent soul stage. He only became an elder because of the sect leader's favoritism. He doesn't know how to teach at all. After she took Gu Chuan as her disciple, she forced him to swallow handfuls of elixirs in an attempt to rapidly boost his cultivation, a case of trying to rush his growth. In the end, Gu Chuan's body became overloaded with Dan poison. While practicing his cultivation, he suffered a spiritual backlash, severing his meridians and leaving him crippled. I stared at Gu Chuan for a moment, watching as his movements became increasingly uncoordinated. Just as he was wondering about this, Gu Chuan had already sheathed his sword. The teenager was only as tall as my chest, and his beautiful eyes looked at me with sincerity. Is there anything about me that displeases you, master? Without thinking, I said, no, it's fine. Then why does my master look at me as if he wants to slice me to pieces? I froze for a moment. Oh no, I'd just gotten so lost in thoughts of my past life that I hadn't realized where my gaze had wandered. To save face, I cleared my throat twice. Ahem. This is grown-up business, kids shouldn't get involved. As he spoke, he couldn't help but add, from now on, if you see Song Xiaoming and Jiang Mu, stay away from them, okay? Gu Chuan gave a look that showed he understood, and smiled gently. Yes, I understand, master. He's handsome, and his smile is even more charming. I was in a good mood, so I just took the sword right out of his hand. Come on, my dear disciple. I'll teach you a new sword technique. I guarantee you'll be able to punch Jiang Mu and kick Song Xiaoming. Gu Chuan truly lives up to his reputation as a genius. He picks up anything he's taught and is even capable of learning on his own. I don't have to worry about it at all. It's a completely different experience from teaching that jerk Jiang Mu in my last life. Gu Chuan was a quick learner, and his cultivation level rose rapidly. Whenever he learned a new sword technique, he would always take on a few missions from the sect to practice. Although he's only been cultivating for 2 years, he's already able to go on missions alongside his senior brothers and sisters who have reached the golden core and nascent soul stages. Gu Chuan's reputation gradually grew, and everyone knew that the Luoxue sect had produced a prodigy. As for Song Xiaoming, however, even though she had asked her senior brother, the sect leader, for countless rare and precious treasures, she had nearly depleted the sect's resources. But 2 years have passed, and Jiang Mu still hasn't broken the seal on his bloodline. Both of them had been reborn, and Song Xiaoming thought I must have a solution, so she wanted to come find me. Jiang Mu, however, stopped her. Xiaoming, you don't have to beg that hypocritical woman on my behalf. Even if I can't break the seal in this lifetime, I'll be content just to be with you. Song Xiaoming's eyes welled up with tears, but she still shook her head. As long as you're okay, it's no big deal if I have to put up with a little hardship. Jiang Mu's eyes flickered, but in the end, he still came to see me with Song Xiaoming. Gu Chuan was sent on a mission a while back, and today is the day he returns. He sent me a message using his spiritual energy, saying he'd brought me some danguisu from outside the sect. Once I found out where he was doing his mission, I casually mentioned that the danguisu there was famous. I'm impressed he actually remembered. I figured Gu Chuan must be coming back soon, so I went out to take a look a little early. As it turned out, I saw 2 figures lurking outside the courtyard gate. Song Xiaoming leaned in and gave me a charming smile. Senior sister. In a split second, I turned around and was about to walk away. Jiang Mu appeared out of nowhere and grabbed me. To be so cold toward your own junior sister, is this the kind of upbringing elder you received? It had been 2 years since I'd last seen him, and he'd grown much taller. With that haughty look on his face, anyone who didn't know better would think he was the elder. I summoned my spirit sword directly, and its powerful spiritual pressure slammed into Jiang Mu. His expression changed, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Only then did he realize that he was not the genius he had been in his previous life, and that in this life, I was not his master either. Song Xiaoming quickly stepped forward to shield him behind her. You're not welcome here. Get out, or don't say I didn't warn you. I pointed the tip of my sword at Song Xiaoming and said with a cold expression. Song Xiaoming's eyes welled up with tears. They were on the verge of falling but wouldn't come, and she refused to leave, certain that I wouldn't dare lay a hand on her. Senior sister, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to ask you to help me break the seal inside Jiang Mu's body. I tapped the back of my sword, sending Song Xiaoming flying. I can tell you're just here to stir up trouble. What do I have to do with Jiang Mu? Why would I help him? As I said that, I flashed a mischievous smile, and a great idea popped into my head. Song Xiaoming's cultivation level was only at the nascent soul stage, while Jiang Mu had no cultivation at all. I'm a cultivator at the tribulation stage. Crushing them would be as easy as lifting a finger. Song Xiaoming cares deeply about saving face, so I doubt even the Grand Master knows why she came to see me today. Even if I were to run them over right now, it wouldn't be traced back to me. Jiang Mu was completely oblivious to the seriousness of the situation and continued to chatter on and on. Yi Chuling, don't push your luck. Help me break the seal, and I might spare your life. But if you keep being ungrateful, don't blame me for being ruthless. In the end, The plan to quietly get rid of Song Xiaomeng and her companion failed. Gu Chuan happened to come back just as I was about to take action. I don't know what kind of injustice he'd suffered out there, but his handsome features were all scrunched up, and his eyes were red with hurt when he saw me. Master. He came over and grabbed the hem of my shirt tightly. When he turned and saw Song Xiaomeng lying on the ground, he froze for a moment. Is Master busy? Song Xiaomeng also spotted Gu Chuan, and a flicker of regret crossed her eyes. If it were just Gu Chuan, it wouldn't be so bad, he's on my side. But to my surprise, the Grand Master came along as well. As soon as the senior brother in charge arrived, he saw his young junior sister lying on the ground, coughing up blood, and his expression changed drastically. Yi Chuling, after all these years, you still haven't learned your lesson. I lazily looked away and asked Gu Chuan what was going on. Gu Chuan hung, with tears in his eyes, said that when he returned today, the sect leader told him he no longer wanted him and told him to go and become Song Xiaomeng's disciple. I never expected that 2 years later, senior brother, the sect leader, still wouldn't give up, taking advantage of my absence to poach my disciples with such a lame excuse. The sect leader held Song Xiaomeng in his arms and fed her a pill. He didn't know what she had whispered in his ear. He glanced first at Jiang Mu, then back at me. Yi Chuling, as compensation for hurting Xiaomeng, helped Jiang Mu break the seal. The tone of that order really made me laugh in exasperation. Song Xiaomeng, do you know why you can't break Jiang Mu's seal even after using up all the rare treasures of the entire sect? All 3 of them turned their gaze toward me at once, and I calmly took out a pill. Because you're missing it. Gu Chuan's grip on the hem of my shirt tightened, and I patted his hand reassuringly. The senior brother, who was well-traveled and knowledgeable, couldn't help but gasp in surprise. The 10,000 layers pill. Master actually left such a treasure for you. A flash of malice and hatred crossed his eyes. My gaze darkened, and I couldn't help but feel a chill in my heart. Our master was the previous head of the Luoxue sect. Before Song Xiaomeng became his disciple, my relationship with my senior brother was quite good. Unfortunately, ever since Song Xiaomeng arrived, my senior brother has been acting as if he's lost his mind. Whenever anything involving his younger female classmate came up, he lost his judgment and his rationality, and would listen only to what she had to say. At the time, the fellow disciples in the sect all had quite a few complaints about this, and even our master was somewhat disappointed in the senior disciple. However, due to an accident, my master passed away. Before his death, he gave me the storage pouch he had been carrying and instructed me to protect the Luoxue sect. Inside the storage pouch, aside from the spirit stones, there was only this one Chong pill. In accordance with my master's instructions, I endured the nausea and remained at Luoxue sect for 100 years without a single complaint. Yet, because of a single elixir, he came to hate even his master, the one who had raised him for 100 years and even passed down the sect to him. Jiang Mu became excited. That's right. That's exactly the pill. He had taken this pill in his previous life, since I had given it to him along with various rare and precious herbs and ingredients. So he didn't know which one could truly break the seal within him. Now he's certain it's the 10,000 layers pill in my hand. The 10,000 layers elixir is an ancient elixir capable of unleashing a cultivator's full potential. There are also rumors that it can unlock memories from a past life. However, the formula for the elixir has long been lost, and the elixirs that have survived to this day are being used up one by one. Therefore, apart from here, there is absolutely no way they will ever find another 10,000 layer pill. Give it to me. Quick! Give it to me! Jiang Mu's breathing grew heavy, as if he could see the life of a genius cultivator, one who had been adored by countless people in his past life, beating out a welcome to him. Gu Chuan clutched the hem of my shirt and glared fiercely at Jiang Mu, gritting his teeth. I wouldn't even give it to a dog. The next second, I shoved a pill into his mouth. The elixir melted the moment it touched his tongue, and Gu Chuan froze, his beautiful eyes staring at me in bewilderment. I was taken aback, too. I didn't call you names, don't blame me for your own loose tongue. Gu Chuan opened his mouth as if to say something, but before he could speak, his eyes rolled back and he passed out. I quickly picked him up and carried him back to the courtyard. As the courtyard gate closed, Jiang Mu's anguished roar and Song Qiameng's sobbing lingered in the air for a long time. It wasn't anything serious. Gu Chuan went back, lay down for 2 hours, and then woke up. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but I can't help feeling that he's been acting a little strange ever since he woke up. A couple of days later, I noticed he was practicing a sword technique I hadn't taught him. At the same time, his cultivation was advancing even faster. He had only broken through to the golden core stage 3 months ago, and now he's almost at the nascent soul stage. While others spend tens or even hundreds of years cultivating their yuanling, he achieved it in less than 3 years. Even a genius wouldn't go that far. I sat under the peach tree, propping my chin in my hand, and stared at him for half an hour before asking, with a serious expression, "Did you fall off a cliff and find an old man there?" Gu Chuan, who had been a little nervous, paused when he heard my question and twitched his lips in silence. "Master, you've read too many storybooks. Gu Chuan is 18 this year. He's already taller than me." He composed himself and met my gaze. "Master, what if I told you that I am an immortal from the upper realm?" I pursed my lips. "Come on, that's even more outlandish than what I said. You're not going to tell me you've come down to Earth to undergo trials, are you? Why don't you just say I was your wife in a past life?" I called out the teenager's middle school syndrome, and he blushed right on the spot. I couldn't bear to see him like that, so I patted him on the shoulder. "It's okay, it's just puberty. I get it." I attributed Gu Chuan's rapid progress solely to the effects of the 10,000 layers pill. I didn't expect the Wan Zhongdan to be so amazing. If I'd known, I would have taken a tiny bit to taste it before stuffing it into Gu Chuan's mouth. Without the Wan Zhongdan, Jiang Mu's hopes of breaking the seal within his bloodline were dashed. Song Qiameng's attitude toward him also turned cold, and she constantly belittled Jiang Mu within the sect. Jiang Mu, whose seal has not yet been broken, has not yet begun his cultivation, making him a true outlier within the sect. After being reborn, Jiang Mu showed no sign of toning down his behavior. He continued to act like a prodigy, which led him to make quite a few enemies within the sect. Song Qiameng used to keep him in check, but now that she's given up on him, quite a few people are taking the opportunity to secretly get back at him. One time, as I was walking toward the front hall of the sect, I happened to run into Jiang Mu. He lay on the ground as 4 or 5 inner door disciples surrounded him and beat him with their fists and feet. "And you had the nerve to try to steal my magical artifact. Looking like that. Who gave you the nerve to push senior brother Chu's spirit beast off the cliff? I'm definitely going to teach you a lesson today." Just as the fight was heating up, one of the disciples spotted me and instantly scattered in all directions. Actually, I wasn't there to stop them. I could even join them. Jiang Mu remained standing motionless where he was, his face so badly bruised that his original features were barely recognizable. I walked past him without even glancing his way. "Master." Jiang Mu reached out and grabbed the hem of my skirt, his voice hoarse and filled with a deep sense of pleading. "That's really strange. In my previous life, ever since he met Song Qiameng, he never called me master again." I stopped in my tracks, and Jiang Mu's eyes lit up. "You're softening up, aren't you? I knew you were worried about me. I'm sorry, master. I regret it now. Would you still be willing to?" "Like hell I would." Gu Chuan kicked Jiang Mu 10 meters away, then stood protectively in front of me, glaring fiercely at Jiang Mu. "Who do you think you are, daring to set your sights on my master?" Jiang Mu looked at me with pleading eyes. "Master, you wanted to, didn't you? You'd clearly already stopped." I was trying to calm Gu Chuan down. He was about to explode with anger and didn't have the energy to talk to him, so I casually said, "Oh, no, it's just that I'm afraid the blood on your arm might get on my skirt." Gu Chuan gave it to me, and he'd get mad if I stained it. Watching the light in Jiang Mu's eyes gradually fade, I found it quite amusing. The Luoxue sect has placed an order for a batch of precious spiritual herbs from the Dan sect, and I am escorting them. I'm always very efficient, so I finish my tasks ahead of schedule. As soon as I returned to the courtyard, I saw 2 figures facing off against each other, with someone else hiding in a corner in the distance, eavesdropping. Song Xiaoming's eyes were red-rimmed, and she was on the verge of tears. Gu Chuan, I don't know what my senior sister told you to make you misunderstand me like this. But I'm really just concerned about you, I don't mean anything else by it. You could have called me Master. You know. Gu Chuan was truly disgusted. It looked like he was about to lose his temper at any moment. I chuckled softly, walked up to Song Xiaoming, and stepped in front of her to block Gu Chuan. Why does my junior classmate keep coming over here all the time? When Gu Chuan saw me, his eyes lit up, and he hurried over to my side. Song Xiaoming was taken aback. Don't you have a mission? Seeing the look of surprise in her eyes, I understood. I was actually wondering why the sect had suddenly assigned such a tedious, drawn-out, and low-reward escort mission. Relationships are just a convenient way for certain people to steal my boyfriend. He really is incorrigible. Ignoring Song Xiaoming's question, I said with a scornful look on my face. You two are quite a pair, one of you has the nerve to ask to be my apprentice, while the other has no shame in trying to steal my apprentice. Song Xiaoming's expression changed. What did you say? It seems she doesn't know yet that Jiang Mu has changed his mind. Jiang Mu, who had been eavesdropping with a sullen expression, also slipped away quietly at that moment. I chuckled softly, pointed at Song Xiaoming, and said to Gu Chuan, she's not an elder. Next time she comes by, just kick her out. If anything happens, I'll take the blame. Gu Chuan nodded with a smile, looking quite obedient. Yes, Master. Song Xiaoming and Jiang Mu had a falling out. It's said they even got into a fight in public. This guy, who not long ago was still able to put on a show of being deeply in love with his wife, has now thrown even the most basic sense of decency to the wind. Song Xiaoming looked down on Jiang Mu, thinking he was a good-for-nothing who did nothing but embarrass her all day long. Jiang Mu blamed Song Xiaoming for ruining his path to cultivating immortality. If it weren't for you, I could have been a genius. How did I end up like this? Song Xiaoming was angry, too. After 2 lifetimes, she hadn't even managed to land a single gifted disciple. The young man who had shone so brightly in my hands in my past life, once in hers. He couldn't even break the seal. And yet he held a grudge against her. Why is it so hard for her to find a genius apprentice? The two of them argued, each sticking to their own version of the story, and eventually even came to blows. Although Song Xiaoming's cultivation level was largely built up through spiritual pills, it was still far beyond what a mere mortal like Jiang Mu could match. Jiang Mu nearly lost his life, and the entire sect was making fun of the master and disciple. Later, I began taking Gu Chuan on trips. 20 years are but the blink of an eye for a monk. Before I knew it, the moment of my death in my previous life was fast approaching. For the past 20 years, Song Xiaoming and Jiang Mu have been bickering constantly. Song Xiaoming gave up on Jiang Mu completely. Realizing she couldn't win Gu Chuan back, she took on a few more talented disciples. But she wasn't a good teacher. Even a genius would turn into a mediocrity under her guidance. So gradually no one was willing to study under her anymore. As for the few unlucky souls who were ruined by Song Xiaoming's hasty and ill-advised actions, they spend their days taking their frustrations out on Jiang Mu. Jiang Mu's life was unbearably miserable. The aura of a genius cultivator from his past life had completely faded from him, leaving him to struggle desperately in the mud. Suddenly, one day, all the disciples who bullied Jiang Mu have gone missing. They couldn't even find the body. One after another, disciples of the sect began to go missing, first those who had a grudge against Jiang Mu, and then those who did not. But strangely enough, Jiang Mu, that good-for-nothing who was unable to cultivate, began to develop cultivation. Song Xiaoming was delighted that she and Jiang Mu were back on good terms. Everyone in the sect is on edge. Even the Grand Master, when informed, did nothing about it, and a large number of disciples have left. Since we were going to participate in the Kyushu Grand Competition, Gu Chuan and I returned to our sect. In just 20 short years, the sect had been transformed beyond recognition. It had fallen into utter disrepair, with all its disciples having fled, leaving only a handful of ordinary people in charge of cleaning. The head disciple had lost a lot of weight and spent his days sitting in the main hall, sighing. Song Xiaoming, on the other hand, ran over happily. Jiang Mu's seal has been broken. Just wait and see, he's definitely going to beat Gu Chuan at the 9 Provinces tournament. She was as proud as a peacock spreading its tail feathers. Senior sister, even if we were to live another lifetime, you're still destined to lose to me. I don't know where Song Xiaoming gets her confidence from, but I found out soon enough. I hadn't gone to find Jiang Mu yet, but he came to find me first. I could tell right away that something was off about him, so without a word, I drew my spirit sword and was about to attack. Wait a minute, Yi Chuling. I know you've been reborn too. I sneered. So what if I know? Jiang Mu paused for a moment, slowly met my gaze, and to my surprise, his eyes began to well up. I realized it too late. Master. Only now do I realize that you are the only one who has truly been kind to me from the very beginning. I know my master doesn't want to acknowledge me, but I swung my sword in a sweeping motion. Those who have fallen to darkness are unworthy of speaking to me. Yes. Jiang Mu has been corrupted by evil. What made me sense something was off about him was precisely that evil energy. I thrust my sword at his chest, but he dodged it by turning aside awkwardly. Master, I'll make you acknowledge me again. He left those words behind and fled. I searched the entire Luoxue sect but couldn't find him anywhere. The day he left was the day before the 9 Provinces Grand Competition. Song Xiaoming's wish to trample me underfoot at the 9 Provinces Grand Competition is destined to remain unfulfilled. The 9 Provinces Grand Competition lasted 3 days and was held at the Wandao sect, the foremost sect in the cultivation world. There is one arena for each tier, and the leaderboard is updated in real time. Once all 3 days of competition have concluded, the top player in each tier will receive generous rewards. In his previous life, Jiang Mu had claimed the top spot on the Yuanling realm rankings. I tapped Gu Chuan, who was at the spirit transformation stage, on the shoulder. Go on, then. I'll be waiting for you to come back with the top spot. Gu Chuan has matured a lot now, in every way. As he looked at my hand resting on his shoulder, the tips of his ears turned a faint shade of red. Then, as if he'd made up his mind, he reached out and took my fingertips in his hand. If I come in first, would you consider that matter, Master? My face turned red. Too, I was so angry. He swiftly drew his hand back and flicked the forehead of this wicked disciple who dared to betray his master and dishonor his ancestors. No, if you can't get it, I'll expel you from my school. I don't know where things went wrong, but after teaching this apprentice for 20 years, his feelings toward me have actually changed. Although in the world of cultivators, there are quite a few who form master-disciple bonds. But putting aside the fact that I'm completely absorbed in my spiritual practice, I have no plans to date anyone for the time being. My feelings for Gu Chuan are nothing but pure, unconditional affection from an elder. He was actually pretty cute when he was little. How did he turn out like this when he grew up? Gu Chuan clutched his head, looking thoroughly aggrieved, and made his way to the arena, glancing back every few steps. At the end of the 3-day competition, Gu Chuan, as expected, took first place among the Transcendent Realm competitors. The head of the Wandao sect personally presented the prizes to the winners. As the youngest spirit transformation level cultivator, Gu Chuan was the center of attention at this year's 9 Provinces Grand Competition. Standing on the high platform, Gu Chuan accepted the prize presented to him by the head of the Wandao sect, a smile spreading across his face. Fellow Taoist Gu, you seem very happy? The head of the Wandao sect noticed the smile on Gu Chuan's face and asked offhandedly. Gu Chuan nodded. Yeah, I thought of my master. She said that if I came in first, she wouldn't expel me from the sect. All the cultivators present burst out laughing, marveling at the close bond between Gu Chuan and me. At that moment, Song Xiaoming, dressed in a white gown and radiating an ethereal aura, floated up onto the high platform. She took Gu Chuan's hand and smiled with satisfaction. My disciple, congratulations. I am proud of you. The entire crowd went wild. Wait a minute, isn't Venerable Gu's master Venerable Chu Ling? Who is this person? I've never seen him before. The leader stepped in at just the right moment to explain. Actually, Gu Chuan's master has always been my junior sister, Song Xiaoming. Back then, When Yi Chuling saw how talented Gu Chuan was, she insisted on taking him away from Xiao Meng. Back then, Gu Chuan was young and didn't know any better. I think it's time for him to return to his master's tutelage now. The crowd exchanged glances, all of them bewildered by the Grand Master's words. What the heck? Can someone tell me if this is true or not? It's true that Venerable Chu Ling is incredibly powerful. If she were determined to take a disciple, no one could stop her. Could it be true? On stage, Gu Chuan's face turned ashen with anger. He abruptly shook off Song Xiaoming's hand and was about to explain. Song Xiaoming pressed herself against Gu Chuan with unwavering determination, gazing at him through tear-filled eyes as she whispered, "Please, don't embarrass me in front of everyone. Senior Sister Yi has everything, but I have nothing. I just want you to be my disciple. Is that really so much to ask?" It really made me laugh out of sheer frustration. I snapped to attention right then and there. "Of course not. That's my apprentice. You idiot." As Song Xiaoming stared in disbelief, Gu Chuan sent her flying with a single palm strike. "Song Xiaoming, your disciple is Jiang Mu, who has fallen to the dark side, not me." As soon as Gu Chuan finished speaking, he knelt straight before me, looked up at me, and his eyes were just as beautiful as they had been back then under the peach tree. "My master has always been, and will always be, Yi Chuling alone." I reached out to help Gu Chuan to his feet, then looked up at Yi Chuling and the sect leader, who were both looking utterly horrified. "Do you really think I can't tell there's demonic energy emanating from Jiang Mu?" On the very day I discovered that Jiang Mu had been corrupted by evil, I reported the matter to the Wan Dao sect, the leader of the righteous path. But Jiang Mu, who had truly been possessed by a demon, had already fled, leaving only Song Xiaoming and the sect leader as his accomplices. Seeing how Song Xiaoming was still bitter about the 9 provinces grand competition, I consulted with the Wan Dao sect and we decided not to expose the matter for the time being. The 9 provinces grand competition lasts 3 days. It would be best if we could use Song Xiaoming to lure Jiang Mu out. If they fail, once the grand competition is over, the 10,000 Dao sect will naturally make Song Xiaoming and the sect leader pay a heavy price for shielding the demon cultivators. I didn't expect Song Xiaoming to cause such a scene at the end of the grand competition, but it doesn't matter. Cultivators from the 10,000 Dao sect stepped forward to apprehend Song Xiaoming, while the sect leader was personally captured by the head of the 10,000 Dao sect. To be on the safe side, both of their cultivation abilities were stripped on the spot. Before the senior brother in charge was taken away, he glared at me with bloodshot eyes. "Yi Chuling, you've destroyed the Luoxue sect. How can you look your master in the eye?" I slapped him hard across the face. "Shut up! The moment you covered for Jiang Mu, who was using disciples of our sect to practice demonic arts for Song Xiaoming's sake, the Luoxue sect was already destroyed." I still wasn't satisfied, so I lashed out with both hands and slapped him across the face dozens more times. "I told you to pass the buck. I told you to pass the buck." Song Xiaoming and the sect leader were berated by the righteous cultivators present. Unable to coax Jiang Mu into speaking, the head of the Wan Dao sect looked somewhat disappointed and waved his hand, signaling for the two to be taken away. Just as Song Xiaoming was being escorted away from the competition venue, she suddenly shouted, "Jiang Mu, you're finally here. Hurry up and save me." Suddenly, the sky was filled with swirling clouds, and it grew dark in an instant. A thick, ominous atmosphere hung in the air. The cultivators present frantically drew their weapons and took up defensive positions, keeping a watchful eye on their surroundings. "What's going on? Demon energy, it's demon energy." One of the monks let out a cry. The demonic energy surged ever more fiercely, and amid the group's vigilance, Jiang Mu, clad in black, slowly emerged from the swirling energy. The intense magical energy had almost become one with him. Jiang Mu's face was covered with eerie, otherworldly red patterns, and his eyes had turned blood red, making him look exactly like a malevolent ghost. He looked at me with a deeply affectionate expression on his face. "Master, I've come to see you." The sound of battle raged all around, and under Jiang Mu's command, the demon clan charged into the Wan Dao sect. Gu Chuan rushed forward and began fighting Jiang Mu. Not long ago, he was just a good-for-nothing who couldn't even practice cultivation. Yet now he's fighting on equal terms with Gu Chuan, who's at the peak of the spirit transformation realm. Even stranger was that the longer the fight went on, the stronger Jiang Mu became. I don't know why, but I have to kill him before things get out of control. I raised my sword and charged toward Jiang Mu Fei. The moment I moved, a formation suddenly lit up beneath my feet and trapped me. Even with my cultivation at the tribulation stage, I was unable to break free. Jiang Mu laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. It's no use, Master. This is the Celestial Demon Clan's imprisonment array. Though it's incomplete, only an immortal can break free from it. Master. Please wait a moment. We'll be together forever very soon. I paused for a moment. The Heavenly Demon Clan? The Celestial Demon Clan is a legendary race said to be even more ruthless than the Demon Clan. They can directly increase their cultivation by killing others. And there is no limit to how much they can grow. Because they were far too powerful, a power the way of heaven could not tolerate, this race was wiped out long ago during a great war in ancient times. Jiang Mu didn't deny it. He simply admitted who he was. It turns out he is a half-breed of the Celestial Demon Clan and the Human Clan, and two seals were automatically formed within his bloodline at birth. In my previous life, I lifted the seal on his innate talent for cultivation as a member of the human race. So he is no different from any other cultivator. But this time, without me, he broke the seal on his Heavenly Demon Clan bloodline himself as he lay on the brink of death. After breaking the seal, he pretended to reconcile with Song Xiaomeng and used the opportunity to hunt down disciples of the Luoxua sect to improve his cultivation. Later, he traveled to the abyss of evil and used the bloodline of the Celestial Demon Clan to break the seal on the demonic race at the very bottom of the abyss. Finally, this led to the scene where he led the Demon Clan in an attack on the 10,000 Dao sect. Every cultivator who dies at the hands of the Demon Clan becomes a part of my power. You can't beat me. As more and more cultivators were killed by the Demon Clan, Jiang Mu's aura grew stronger by the moment. And with a savage grin, he struck Gu Chuan with a palm strike. Gu Chuan was almost completely soaked in blood as his body fell limply from the air. Gu Chuan! My eyes widened, and boundless rage welled up inside me, so much so that I didn't even notice my fingernails digging deep into the palms of my hands. Aw Mu, I knew you weren't a good-for-nothing. Did you come to pick me up? While the monks were busy fighting the Demon Clan, Song Xiaomeng easily broke free from her bonds and ran over to Jiang Mu. Her face was lit up with her usual charming and innocent smile, which stood in stark contrast to her current disheveled appearance. Song Xiaomeng naturally linked her muddy arm through Jiang Mu's, her tone reproachful. When I didn't see you at the 9 Provinces Grand Competition, I thought you'd given up on me. I never imagined you'd go to such lengths for me. Song Xiaomeng took it for granted that Jiang Mu had come to rescue her. She glanced at the cultivators struggling fiercely against the Demon Clan and said viciously, "These people look down on others, they really deserve it." Jiang Mu seemed to be in a good mood as he smiled and asked Song Xiaomeng, "So, Master, how do you want to deal with them?" Song Xiaomeng waved her hand dismissively, her gaze fixed on me. "Kill everyone else. But spare Yi Chuling, I'm going to rip out her heart with my own hands. Let's do as the Master says." Song Xiaomeng's smile grew even brighter. She couldn't wait to see me in a sorry state. But before she could finish laughing, a hand suddenly pierced her heart from behind. "Master, are you satisfied now?" Those words were meant for Song Xiaomeng, but they were also meant for me. Even as she lay dying, Song Xiaomeng's eyes were still filled with disbelief, and she murmured, "Why?" Jiang Mu tossed Song Xiaomeng's body aside as if it were trash. "If you hadn't deceived me, I could have stayed with my master forever. I already missed my chance once in my past life, I won't make the same mistake again this time. Master, look, I've killed the person you hated most. Now you can finally accept me again, right?" "I accept." "Accept my ass. What's this about being deceived?" With just one sentence, he managed to clear himself completely, and when he teamed up with Song Xiaomeng to kill me, I didn't see him hesitate for a single moment. "And you keep saying you love me, seriously? Don't gross me out." At the end of the day, Jiang Mu is nothing more than a complete and utter egoist, selfish, self-serving, and vicious. Honestly, the first thing I should have done after coming back to life was to stab you. You little bastard. to death at the apprenticeship ceremony. I regret it, I really, really regret it. In particular, the image of Gu Chuan falling, his body covered in wounds, was etched in my mind and would not fade. I felt a dull ache in my chest, as if someone had kicked me. Jiang Mu strode toward me with the air of a victor, looking haughty. A thunderous rumble echoed across the sky, and an extraordinary sense of foreboding descended upon the Wan Dao sect. Jiang Mu's expression changed drastically. Forcing your way through? Are you crazy? I was already at the peak of the tribulation stage, just one step away from ascension. Didn't Jiang Mu say that only immortals can break out of this formation? Well, then I'll break through right here in front of him. Just you wait, once I become an immortal, I'll tear you to pieces. The lightning strikes came down quickly, one after another, striking me. Jiang Mu also realized that once I became an immortal, he would be doomed to die. So he stopped talking about love or the bond between master and disciple, and instead gathered his demonic energy to kill me on the spot. I cast a magical artifact to block his attack, but was struck by a bolt of lightning and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Surviving the thunder tribulation is already a life-or-death ordeal for cultivators, let alone with a demon nearby constantly spewing demonic energy. More and more cultivators were dying on the spot. This grand competition had brought together powerful cultivators from all corners of the realm. Jiang Mu's strength grew rapidly, reaching a level where even those at the tribulation stage could not match him. Everyone realized that things were heading in a bad direction, and they all began to see me as their hope for defeating the demon clan. One by one, they stood in front of me, and one by one, they fell. After being struck by the lightning tribulation, I was a bloody mess, and even my sense of pain had dulled, yet I still couldn't help but urge myself on. Faster, faster! The closer the lightning tribulation drew to its end, the more ferocious Jiang Mu's attacks became. The final lightning strike and the demonic energy unleashed by Jiang Mu reached me almost simultaneously. I've used up all my magical artifacts, and Jiang Mu has killed almost all of my people. I might be about to fail. For a split second, I saw a flash before my eyes. It was as if I'd hallucinated that Gu Chuan had suddenly appeared in front of me to block the attack for me. In the blink of an eye, the dark clouds dispersed, and the myriad hues of the sunset transformed into a gentle downpour. The abundant divine energy instantly healed my wounds. I saw the look of terror begin to spread across Jiang Mu's face. He begged for mercy over and over, but in the end, he and the demonic creatures he had brought with him were crushed by the overwhelming divine power. The surviving cultivators around them began to cheer, their faces radiant with the joy of having narrowly escaped death. I took Gu Chuan's hand and whispered, "Gu Chuan, I've agreed." I clearly promised him the very thing he's been hoping for day after day, right in my ear. Yet he hasn't responded to me. It seemed as if something was blurring my vision, and I heard someone say, "Please take care of yourself. What's there to mourn? Gu Chuan isn't even dead." Even though I was so convinced, tears still welled up, and memories came flooding back, one by one. Certain feelings that had previously been vague seemed to become clear at that moment. High above the clouds, as the afterglow gathered, a voice suddenly rang out, "Master, I'm here." I was taken aback. As I looked up, I saw a familiar figure above the clouds. Gu Chuan stood there smiling, his posture as straight as a pine tree. My crying suddenly stopped, and I held it in so hard that I let out a little sob. "You little rascal. How dare you make your master cry?" It turns out that the stories Gu Chuan used to brag about to me back in middle school were actually true. He really is an immortal from the heavenly realms who has come down to undergo his tribulation. After taking the 10,000 layers pill, his memories returned, but he still chose to stay by my side. I was just wondering why he looked so much older overnight during that period. After that body in the realm of immortality died, he returned to his rightful place. To keep me from worrying, he rushed down to the lower realm to find me almost as soon as he woke up in the palace. When he found me, he saw me crying while holding his body. I had intended to toss the body I was holding aside and stubbornly insist I wasn't crying, but in the end, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. He chose a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters, directed Gu Chuan to dig a hole, and buried the body. After gazing thoughtfully at the inscription on the tombstone for a while, Gu Chuan asked me what I was thinking, and I replied, I wonder what it feels like to dig my own grave. After all these years together, he's gotten used to the fact that I can't seem to say anything serious, so he just ignores it and pretends he didn't hear a thing. I cleared my throat lightly, trying to salvage my dignity, but then something suddenly occurred to me, and I grabbed Gu Chuan. Since your cultivation level is now higher than mine, there's really nothing left for me to teach you. How about we end our master-disciple relationship? Gu Chuan didn't expect me to use my ultimate right up in his face. He was completely taken aback. A smile had been on his handsome face just a second ago, but the next moment it faded, and a familiar emotion flashed in his eyes. I thought back carefully, and it seemed to me that the Grand Master had worn the exact same expression back then when he told him I didn't want him. Looking all pitiful, like a little puppy that had been abandoned and was wandering the streets. Sure enough, the very next second, I heard him ask, "Is my master abandoning me again?" He's really good at playing the victim. After locking eyes with him for 2 seconds, I just gave in. Yes, yes, yes. Gu Chuan was happy. After wrapping up our business in the cultivation realm, we ascended to the immortal realm together. Oh, I forgot to ask earlier when I was rushing over just now. I thought I heard Master agree to something. Yeah, that's right. I promised myself that if you came back to life, I'd treat you to a meal at Sui Wuxian. Gu Chuan was disappointed. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. My head's a little scattered right now, so I'll wait until I've sorted things out before having a proper talk with Gu Chuan about this. A gentle breeze blows across the vast land, and the sky is clear and crisp. The previous story has come to an end, but my own story has only just begun.